Hello, welcome to Mel's Sofa Stride, and I am Mel. Today, I'm just gonna be speaking with you on this self healing journey. It's a lot of things that could be implemented on helping you along this journey. And when I look back at a lot of things, I was like, my biggest one for the people that I've chosen to be in my life is I knew I needed to ask the Lord to bless me with the gift of the spirit of discernment. So, if a lot of you don't know, um, the spirit of discernment is just so you can recognize any familiar spirits. And we'll get into that a little later about what a familiar spirit is. But I knew, you know how if you ever heard anyone say, oh, I married the wrong man 3 times, but it's 3 different men. It's because you're marrying somebody with familiar spirits and they all have that same trait versus you thinking outside of the box or being having the gift of discernment of spirit to be like, no, this is the same guy, just a different guy. It's the same person, but in a different guy. So, but it's just having God's wisdom. And so, a lot of times when I'm thinking on this self healing journey, and I'm thinking like, what could I've done different? What I could, not to just beat myself in it, but just to learn from your mistakes. And like I said, when a person crossed me, it's just a lesson learned, or so I just count it as a lesson learned and move on from there, and just try to better myself from falling prey to that again. And it's having the ability to make smart judgments about something, being able to judge well. And if anybody know me, I'm not gonna say that I'm not a person that could judge well, but because I'm always nurturing someone and always trying to like mend someone that's broken, and trying to be the one that fix the person up. You know how you go get these houses and you're just like, oh, I ain't gotta pay, I'm gonna just get me a fixer upper. And it's because we want to put our love, you can look at that project and like the sweat that you poured into like making it, bringing it to fruition, if that makes sense. So no, I don't want to build a bear anymore. I want no. I'll take them already good to go out the pack. So no. But just being able to judge well, and when I look back and now I see things for what they were. I'm sure a lot of times but some people still don't see. And who knows, how many times you will keep getting it wrong until you finally get it right, So it's just being able to just learn from those mistakes. So, and then now we can all probably relate in this self healing journey that we can see clearly now. Like before, when we had on our rose colored shades and nobody could tell us nothing bad about that person or that situation or whatever. We just seen everything like in a good manner, like, oh, don't judge them, like, don't judge them, this is my boo. And no, not knowing that, if you would have listened, who would have saved you from years of just heartache. And in this, there are 7 stages of discernment. We're not going to get into all the stages because in some of the situations I look back, I'm like, I didn't have stage 1, and I definitely didn't have stage 7. Who else? Who else could join me with that? Like, what stage I was at? Yes, me too. I'm saying the same thing. But if you look at the Bible stance of it, it says, do not judge by appearance, but judge with right judgment. And that's coming from John 7:24. Well, it's not that I'm gonna, well, I already have moved on and everything, but it's not that, it was not to judge that person or not to judge them. That's the thing about it. But some things, some things you have to make a person be accountable for, you know? Like, hey, you gotta have a job, or you have to have your income coming in. That's for one. You have to adult, be able to withstand this adulting thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't just come and just be like, oh, here I am. No, that you have to be accountable for yourself on how you're gonna take care of yourself, even if I wasn't in the picture. And then secondly, you have to be a person that's not selfish and who just want to build for themselves and not thinking about you. And a lot of times when I look back, I was like, well, where was I in the equation? I was nowhere in the equation. I was just a follower, and I was just like, I would just drop everything and just be to that person every beck and call. And a lot of things that I've done, and I can't say I'm stupid for it, because it came out of a space of loving too hard. But now that I'm older, I saw myself like missing out on a lot of things. Like, I moved so many times. Just situations just too embarrassing to talk about now. But this is not to have a pity party on no one, but it's just me just thinking. I'm coming to you all to tell you, like, tools to utilize with this self-healing journey and things that'll help you. But I'm just really moved on this situation, because this is one thing that's far and dear to me. It's like, I never even thought about. It's like things now I'm later in life trying to do, like purchase my first home. Like, I used to just rent apartments and rent houses, rent townhouses, but I have to take accountability for that. So, yeah. And that's just from following somebody from this state to that state, from that state to that state, and not being stable, being stable for a couple of years and then bounce up and, oh, I want to be here, and I want to go over here and do this, and I want to go over here and do that. But yeah, but now I'm just knowing how unstable I really made myself trying to bring stability for someone else. It just hit me. So, major factor is just having common sense. And a lot of times I don't like when people say common sense. You'll find out it's a lot of words I don't like. It's a lot of words that are triggers for me. And maybe because they were said to me too much, and, just, I'm going to take my mask off today, and I'm just going to be real today. I mean, I'm in a good space. I was in a great space coming to recording, but it's just a lot of things I really just don't think on. And when I think on, I just be like, oh man, And that's why this self-healing journey has been so important to me, because I know that this is something that, you can be fine today, and then just one thought about, hey, I'm not where I feel I should be in life, and it's just put a doozy on you. But And also familiar spirits. If you have the gift of discernment, you're able to be able to recognize familiar spirits. And familiar spirits is like, in biblical terms, is like spirits or demons, or what some of us of the natural forms would call ghosts. And monitoring spirits as well. When a lot of times people say you have like flies come around you and you ain't seen a fly all day, then that's somebody trying to monitor like what you're doing. That's sort of like a form of witchcraft. If you don't believe, then I don't feel like it'll affect you. Or if you covered in the blood of Jesus like I am, then it really don't affect you. Go right ahead, because that stuff is going to be reversed back to you. I don't wish nothing bad on nobody, but I do pray that that you dig for me to be the one you fall into 1,000 times over. Because I pray nothing bad for nobody, no one. So no one don't have no reason to be like praying negative things over me. So, and the need for discernment is to be able to decipher good versus evil. And that's all this world is. You be able to like, I can go into a room of people and I can tell you like who have good spirits and who is like what's evil. That's the gift that I have. I've always had it. There's like a lot of gifts. I'll share some of the gifts with you. A lot of my gifts I was afraid of because I could see death too. I'll repeat that again. I could see death too. So a lot of my loved ones, when I've hugged them, I knew that was going to be my last time seeing them. And I've told people. I tell my mom, and it comes true. Not that I wouldn't wish that on nobody, but it's just something I've always had. Even at the young age of me being young, I dreamt my daddy death. And it was my uncle who was dying. My mom was like, "Oh, is your uncle?" No, it turned out to be my dad and my uncle. So, a lot of things I don't, it's really hard. It's really hard. And who do you have to talk to about things like that? Who gonna believe you? I mean, the only person I could really share a lot of these things with, because my mom hold a lot of the gifts herself, but a familiar spirit, I could recognize you. Like if I totally like get away from a person, it's a spirit there that doesn't sit well with my spirit. And it's a lot of people out there like that. I could just walk by them, and sometimes I could even see them like look with a lurky eye at me, because they know I know who they are without me even saying anything to them. A lot of people hold those gifts, though. I'm not special. That's my superpowers. No, a lot of the gifts and everything, I wouldn't wish them on nobody. I mean, I'm not gonna say it like that. You know, to have your gifts is to know your gifts, but I would never use them for any bad. If anything, I've underused them, because a lot of times I try to ignore it, but when it hits home, I have to do something about it. So, yeah, I'm not gonna go into that, but it is what it is. The heart will lead you into some unfathomable situations without being able to discern people's intentions. A lot of times when you're a good person like me, we feel like everybody else have good intentions. People will seek you out on the internet. People will seek you out on dating apps. They will seek out. It could be key terms. Some people just infatuated with a nurse. Some people just infatuated with people from being military. It's different infatuations that people have, and you could have easily like fallen prey to them just because you have one of those qualities that you possess one of those qualities. So it could be nothing about you. It could be something just what they you know, their flavor of the month. So being able to scope that out, that's something good to have in your back pocket too. And it's just like being able to see things before they can happen. Then that is a great gift, because a lot of things that could be avoided. I'm going to give you an example because I know I'm sort of losing my train of thought, but it's just like you want to go to the store, but something, maybe you had an upset stomach and you had to go in the bathroom, right? And then you just like, just say, Jay fussing saying, dang, now we could already done been up there and done been back by the time you done came, but okay. So we leave and we go to the store, and on the corner you see a bad accident, and it happened right at the corner that you was gonna have to turn at. A car plowed into somebody that could have been your car. So you never know what the the weight was about. It could have been, very well could have been, keeping you from something unsafe. And that's the same way with a person. If we can have those same discernment of things, like, okay, I'm gonna follow my gut instinct, I'm gonna follow my intuition, I'm gonna use my wisdom about this, then we can pick out and weed better people for ourselves. And pray for the gift of the discernment of spirit if you don't already have it. And a lot of us have that in us. It's just that we're not in tune with it. So just try to just pray and ask the Lord just to help you with your spirit of discernment. I mean, it could really help you, like, with in the long term, and you'll be able to see um, what others are burdened with. And that's another thing that I have. Yes. A lot of times, when if a person work around me or they do whatever around me, I'll just come out and can say something, and I can just be like, they be like, oh, did I say that out loud? And it's almost as if I'm reading their thoughts to them. Because if you stand by me, I can really discern, like, what's going on in your life and how you should fix it. But I'm like looking at myself like, okay, so if I can do other people like that, well, I don't have that same thing. And that's when you have to really just go inward and just pray and just listen. Because if we listen, you know, I can do the same thing for myself. And that's what I'm doing on this self-healing journey. Not only helping others heal, but I have the ability to heal myself, you know? So that's another little superpower that we all possess, you know, self-heal. And I'm giving you the steps. I'm not charging you any payments to know how to do this. Just for easy $19.99. And then wait till I get to step 6, and then okay, it's $32.99. No, I'm not doing that. I'm sharing this with everybody so you can be a better you. You can love yourself and, come from a very healed space and able to love others and everything else. So the spirit of discernment, that's what we're gonna ask for. If you don't already have it, we all have it, but just ask God to just bless it to manifest more in your life and be able to listen and look and see, and discern. And like I said, when you get good at it, you're able to see what others burden others. It's just like if you're a parent and you just see your child sitting around quiet, they're saying nothing, but you know that it's something. That's your child. That's the same way with the discernment spirit of others. You just feel the heavy, like a bleakness about them, and then you're just like, oh, this is not how this person normally act. They get to talking 2 or 3 sentences, then either it's the husband, the children, the home life, something in their self, that they're not dealing with, and able to help them decipher between that and figure that out. And we can do it for ourselves as well. But the discernment experience that's helping you with your healing stage is that you're able to discern good versus evil, and then that could keep your heart from being hurt because you already know what that person is regardless. You ever heard of a sheep in wolf clothing? So, a wolf in sheep clothing. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that'll be it for today. So I'll come on probably in the morning and or the next day and speak on your gut instincts, and why that's so important as well. All right, until next time, like, share, subscribe. Please comment. I want a community of people. I know I'm not the only one that's feeling like this way, but I want a community of people that talk back to me, not negative. I'm not. If you know what I'm. If it has to be negative, then I could have no comment. So, but I just want positive people and like spirited people, to just comment like how this helped you or what you've done or anything that you've gotten out of this. I'm gonna keep talking until I build up me a community of people that really that this helps because like I said, I'm not a therapist or none of that, counselor or nothing like that. I'm just a nurse, and a lot of this stuff came from experience. And I really try to do a little research in it to help somebody else out, and just knowing things that helped me up on this journey. And that was one of the biggest ones, was the spirit of discernment, to know even though a person may look like they're calm and all together and well to do, they could be very well suffering from mental health illnesses. They could be suffering from drugs and you don't know. They could be suffering with the spirit of cheating. That's a whole spirit by himself, a whole spirit by itself, and all other things that childhood traumas that they haven't dealt with. And then you could be having the same, and then that's just like fire on fire, and that's not a good sign. But anyway, until next time, that's one big combustible whatever, ready to explode. Until next time, Mel Sofa Strides. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you.